After Mao and Shiro left Ant Isla, pursued by Emi and Alba, the demon army was left leaderless and defenseless against the Church of Ant Isla. Meanwhile, in the abandoned Demon King castle, a mysterious woman in white appears. She uses a small potted plant to create an orb of light and wonders aloud, "What went wrong here?" Shiro has a tantrum at Mao's apartment and Mao is clueless about the reason. Hanzo jokes that Shiro is upset because Mao works part-time at MG Ronald's, leaving Shiro as a house husband. Shiro denies this and accuses Hanzo of draining their finances with his lazy NEET lifestyle and online shopping addiction. Hanzo counters by blaming Mao for constantly using the fan to cool off. As Shiro rants about their financial situation, Mao leaves for work. On his way out, Mao runs into Emi, and of course, Shiro accuses her of eavesdropping like some damn busybody. Emi, not giving a damn, points out that their voices were so loud, it wasn't like she had to sneak around. She straight up scolds them for whining about their lifestyle, and they get into a brief, pointless argument. Typical. After Mao leaves, he feels something weird, but like the idiot he is, he brushes it off and walks away. Once he's gone, Shiro tells Hanzo he's going to look for a part-time job and plans to put Hanzo through a cleaning boot camp. Great, now they're all just flapping their gums. At work, Mao meets up with Chi, who's super excited to show off Mao's new bike, Dullahan 2, which Suzuno bought for him. What a sweet gesture, right? Meanwhile, back at the apartment complex, Emi and Suzuno are chatting it up. Suzuno admits she bought the bike with money she made selling stuff to a Mujihyo shop. As they talk, Emi starts feeling like they're being watched, probably some assassin from heaven lurking around, like Saru. Suzuno laughs it off, mentioning how Saru's too busy stuffing his face with 10 meals a day at MG Ronald's and trying to flirt with Mayumi. Suzuno talks about how his big, flashy bouquets are driving Mayumi nuts, despite him bringing in solid sales. In the middle of this, a little kid named Kentaro and his grandma walk in, placing an order. Mao can't shake off the weird feeling he had earlier, though. Back at the apartment, Shiro's busy teaching Hanzo how to do laundry like he's a damn toddler, explaining all the benefits of using a semi-automatic washing machine. The whole thing sounds like the most boring crap ever, so of course, Suzuno and Emi are overhearing and cracking jokes. Shiro continues his laundry lesson like it's the most exciting thing in the world. During this, Hanzo senses an intruder, thinking it's someone from the demon castle, but Shiro blows it off like it's nothing. Shiro leaves to run errands, leaving Hanzo to finish the laundry. Later, Chi asks Mao if it's okay for her to visit his apartment to deliver something Suzuno needs for the Bon festival and Mao agrees. However, he feels uneasy about it due to a bad feeling and a storm brewing in the sky while vacuuming the apartment. Hanzo confronts an invisible intruder but struggles to get the upper hand. As it starts to rain, Hanzo is frustrated because he has hung the laundry outside to dry. Mao returns home with Chi and hears Hanzo screaming as he tries to redo the laundry. It turns out that the intruder was just a cockroach. Suzuno steps in and kills it with her weapon. They briefly discuss the cockroach incident before performing the Bon festival ritual. During the ritual, a gate opens and a giant apple falls out. A brawl breaks out between Mao and Emi, interrupted when Emi tries to attack Mao with her sword. However, Mao uses the apple as a shield and the apple sprouts arms to grab Emi's sword. To everyone's surprise, the apple transforms into a little girl who sneezes and falls asleep inside Mao's apartment. The group gathers around the girl, who wakes up and introduces herself as Alas Ramus. When she sneezes again, a crescent moon appears on her forehead. Mao is the only one who notices this, and when he asks who her parents are, she answers, Mao and Emi, leaving everyone stunned. At Mao's apartment, Alas cries, upset because she thinks Mao and Emi are her parents. She clings to Emi for comfort, which draws everyone's attention. Despite her reluctance, Emi consoles her. Eventually, Alas falls asleep on Emi's lap. The group debates why Alas sees them as her parents and who might have sent her through the gate. They don't reach any conclusions but agree that Mao's apartment will care for her despite Shiro's worries about their financial situation. One day, during Chi's archery club meeting, she's talking to some random club member about how she's got the hots for Mao, like some lovesick loser. She admits to her friend that Mao only sees her as some coworker, totally dismissing her feelings like she's nothing. Her buddy suggests they head to MG Ronald's to come up with some lame-ass plan to win Mao over, but Chi's too much of a wet blanket to do anything about it and backs out, saying she's too busy. After school, Chi swings by a drugstore to pick up some bullshit supplies and heads straight to Mao's apartment like a complete loser. When she gets there, she's greeted by Shiro, who looks like he's been run over by a truck, tired, skinny as hell. He starts whining about how Alas had cried all night, begging for her mama, but at least he ate some udon without bitching about it. Chi hands over the supplies she bought for Alas, and Shiro's all grateful, probably thinking she's some kind of saint. He cracks a dumb joke about putting in a good word for her to score some high-ranking position when Mao takes over the world or whatever bullshit. Chi's all embarrassed, like the shy little idiot she is, and turns him down, too awkward to even ask for a damn reward. There is a knock on the door and Suzuno arrives with Shiro's requested food and drinks. Hanzo appears from the closet, asking if it's time to eat, but Shiro cuts him off. Suzuno mentions the noise from the other night. Just then, Alas wakes up and asks for her papa, but seeing he's not there, she starts crying again. At work, Rika notices Emi seems tense and asks if something's wrong. Emi, without thinking, explains Alas' situation and accidentally adds that the child sees both her and Mao as parents. At Mao's apartment, Chi manages to actually impress Shiro for once by changing Alas' diaper without screwing it up. She then introduces herself and Suzuno as the kids' big sisters, which totally throws Suzuno off. She's standing there like a deer caught in headlights, unsure of what the hell to do. Later, Emi's still blabbering on about how Alas is all attached to Mao like some weird mother-son thing, and she's practically begging Rika to go with her to the amusement park to get away from all the mess. Rika, being her usual self, hands over the damn tickets, like that'll fix everything. Meanwhile, Suzuno and Chi, with Alas tagging along like a mini circus act, barge into Mao's work, and they cause a damn scene. Mayumi, being the straight-talking badass she is, drags them into the back room for a talk. Saru, still acting like an obsessed creep, thinks that Mayumi's already had a kid with someone else, like the guy's living in some delusion. In the back room, Mayumi gives Suzuno and Chi a lecture about how things could be misread, and you can tell she's ready to rip them apart. But then, she softens like a damn marshmallow and tells Mao to head out early to care for Alas. She asks Chi to babysit the kid for a bit, and Chi, of course, starts tearing up like a damn mess. Mao's just standing there, wondering what the hell happened. Chi swears she'll keep helping him, like she's some self-sacrificing martyr. Mayumi then hands them amusement park tickets, the same ones Rika gave to Emi earlier, like it's supposed to be some grand gesture. At Mao's place, they all discuss who's gonna take Alas to the park, and it's decided that Mao and Emi will go. Later, Emi's at her place, all conflicted and in her head about the whole thing, when she gets a call from Emirata. Flustered as hell, Emi tries to reassure Emirata that everything's fine, and Saru's not gonna steal her damn sword anytime soon. But then, Emi drops the bomb about Alas, the kid born from an apple, and Emirata's got no clue what the hell she's talking about. She promises to look into it, but you can tell she's thinking this whole thing is way more screwed up than it seems. At Mao's apartment, tensions rise as Mao and Shiro argue about the safety implications of Mao taking Alas and Emi to the amusement park. Shiro is worried about potential danger, but Suzuno intervenes, suggesting that he should follow them undercover to ensure their safety if Shiro is so concerned. As time passes, everyone in Mao's apartment adjusts to their new life with Alas. While it's been a challenge, the group is slowly learning to care for her together. On the day of the amusement park trip, Shiro, determined to keep an eye on things, follows Mao and Alas. However, he's quickly spotted by Chi, who Suzuno has tipped off about the situation. Chi offers to help Shiro and the two approach the park. Along the way, they notice Emi, who seems to have gone all out with her appearance for the day, pulling out all the stops to make it a memorable trip. Rika suddenly appears before them, revealing that she couldn't resist observing how the day would unfold with Mao, Alas and Emi. Meanwhile, in Ant Isla, a robed man accompanied by soldiers steps through a gate, entering a new realm. On Earth, Hanzo senses the opening of a large gate, a feeling that suggests something important is about to happen. Emi and Mao are chilling by Alas as she watches the damn fountain show, with Chi, Shiro, and Rika just hanging around like they have nothing better to do. The heat is unbearable, so Emi pushes for buying a hat for Alas, and of course, Mao hesitates like a clueless idiot, but Emi makes it clear that she's not taking no for an answer. They go hat shopping, and Emi comments on how long Mao plans on babysitting the kid. Mao says he'll do it until Alas grows up or her real parents show up, whatever comes first. Emi throws in the "Are you going back to Ant Isla to help your demon army" line, but Mao laughs it off, saying he's done with that crap. He picks out a hat for Alas, and while he's paying for it, he gets all moody about how pointless it is to even think about going back to his army. Emi can't help herself, making some snarky remarks, but Mao shuts her down with a soft but deadly retort. Back at the amusement park, Rika, Chi, and Shiro are lurking, watching like a bunch of stalkers. Chi and Rika gossip about what they've seen, while Shiro is too busy losing his mind over the price of the hat. They talk about Mao's crew and what the hell their deal is. Meanwhile, Alas starts naming the colors of the balloons like some adorable alien, and Emi's still ruminating on Mao's little burn. They plan to hit up a show called Shin by 5, but Alas, the little troublemaker, buys tickets for the later show after the earlier one sells out. Mao, being the dad of the year, suggests they grab something to eat while they wait. They finally catch the performance, but alas gets all teary-eyed, like a little emotional mess, reminded of the Sephiroth Falls. Her mark pops up, and Mao rushes to cover it with her new hat. After that, they dip with the unconscious kid, and Emmy's all she doesn't have a fever, but let's grab a cold drink anyway, just in case. While Mao's getting the drinks, a woman in white steps up to Emmy, asking if everything's alright. Emmy explains, and the woman uses her damn ring to heal Alas, which makes Emmy side-eye her like she's a walking red flag. The woman assures Emmy she's not an enemy, but drops a bomb that others might have figured out Alas has one of the Yesid fragments. As soon as Mao gets back with the drinks, Emmy punches him for being too much of a dumbass to notice the woman disappear like some ghost. Back at Mao's apartment, Hanzo and Suzuno discuss the recently opened gate. Meanwhile, Rika and her group continue watching Mao's group, who are about to ride the Ferris wheel. Before they board, their picture is taken, much to Emmy's disapproval. As they ride, Rika's group arrives but she is separated when she helps an old lady and her grandson buy tickets. On the ride, Emmy presses Mao about the mark on Alas' forehead. Rika and Shiro overhear their conversation from another car. Shiro regrets not getting closer, while Rika, distracted, feels guilty about leaving Chi behind. In reality, Rika is developing feelings for Shiro. Back with Mao, Emmy demands answers. Under pressure, Mao explains his backstory. Before becoming the Demon King, demons ran wild and Mao lay near the bodies of his parents. An angel approached him, whom he tried to attack, but instead of killing him, she healed his wounds and educated him. When Mao asked why, she replied that she had never seen a demon cry. Before leaving, the angel told him about the human realm and advised him to plant and cultivate a seed to understand the world better. Mao asks Emmy about the lady she encountered. Emmy explains how the woman healed Alas and warned that Gabriel would come for the shard of Yesid. Mao karate chops Emmy's head for not knowing about Yesid. Alas asks if Mao is okay and he assures her he is fine. Then, he asks her to name the colors of her balloons. After she does, Mao explains that the colors represent the cosmoplastic orbs from Sephiroth and he suspects Alas may be an incarnation of Yesid. On the ground, Mao and Emmy buy a commemorative photo for Alas and each receives an emergency call from Hanzo and Suzuno. After Rika and Shiro land, Rika contacts Emmy, alerting her to an emergency that requires her to return home. Before Shiro leaves, Rika gives him her number. At Mao's apartment complex, Mao, Emmy and Alas find Hanzo and Suzuno at the mercy of a robed man and his men. The robed man, Gabriel, confirms he is after Emmy's sword and Alas. Negotiations break down when Alas refuses to go with Gabriel, citing the loss of her friends, and Emmy refuses to hand over her sword. Gabriel harms Mao, who refuses to comply, and Chi intervenes. Her tearful plea causes Gabriel to delay taking Alas until the following day. Afterward, Shiro returns home and they decide to put up complete resistance against Gabriel. To Emmy's surprise, Mao asks her to stay the night. At Mao's apartment, Mao tells Shiro to walk Chi home and then starts brainstorming their plan for dealing with Gabriel. While they're talking, Shiro checks in on Hanzo and Suzuno, both of whom are doing just fine. A flashback hits where Suzuno drops knowledge about the tree of Sephiroth and Yesid, explaining that Gabriel, the big boss of Yesid, probably needs Alas to balance out the mess in the world. After that little trip down memory lane, Mao decides it's bedtime, which grinds Emmy's gears since they're sharing a room. Over at Suzuno's apartment, Suzuno asks Shiro, while he's doing the dishes like a good boy, why Mao decided to lead his demon army to conquer the world. Shiro dodges the question like a pro, complimenting her fridge instead and rambling on about how that's the kind of luxury he wanted for demons. Before bed, Alas is staring at the picture from the amusement park like it's the greatest thing ever. Mao turns off the lights, but Alas wants to hear his backstory. Mao gives in but refuses to entertain Emmy when she asks for a story the next day, shutting her down real quick. Next morning, Emmy wakes up to find Gabriel just chilling beside her, greeting her like everything's normal. She's not having any of it, though, and pulls out her sword, pointing it straight at his neck. Gabriel tries to talk his way out, saying he just wants to chat. Things get a little heated when Mao wakes up and cradles Alas like he's her personal bodyguard. Gabriel offers a deal. He'll take one of two things he wants, noting that the Yesid fragments are chilling in both Alas and Emmy's sword. Just then, Shiro and Suzuno start banging on the door, demanding to be let in. In the meantime, Mao drops to his knees like a complete pushover, begging Gabriel to take his head instead of Emmy's sword or Alas. Gabriel's like, "Nah, I'm good," but Mao's not backing down, claiming he knows the story of Satan or whatever. Gabriel's not having it and uses his magic to choke the life out of Mao, saying he's gotta die now. But Alas, being the badass she is, calls Gabriel out for being a liar and charges at him, blasting him away with her powers. Emi, without skipping a beat, chases after Gabriel and jumps right into the fight. Gabriel, running out of options, pulls his sword and slices Emi's sword in half, like it's nothing. Meanwhile, Mao calls Suzuno to help him assist Emi, but Gabriel's goons step in, blocking them. Back with Emi, Gabriel's throwing hands, trying to take her down after she promised Alas she'd stick with Mao for the long haul. The battle's heating up when, out of nowhere, Mao gets thrown into Gabriel, shouting at Emi to take the chance and kill them both. But Emi's not having it and refuses. Gabriel, getting impatient, just tosses her aside like a rag doll, sending Emi plummeting toward what looked like her end. But Alas steps in, literally. She uses her magic to save Emi, fusing herself with Emi's sword and armor, channeling enough power to throw Gabriel off his game. Gabriel, feeling the heat, retreats, but not before whispering something to Emi that goes unheard. Later, Emi's sitting at a cafe with Chi, spilling the tea on the morning chaos. Turns out, Alas can transform back to her regular self after fusing with Emi's broken sword and armor. Emi's feeling all sorts of ways, flustered and frustrated, so she turns to Chi for advice. As dusk falls, the two head to Mao, who's lit a bonfire, mourning the loss of Alas, thinking she's gone for good. But Emi shows him the truth: Alas is alive, fused with her sword and armor. Mao's relief is palpable, and he asks Shiro to prepare food for Alas. In the after credits, we find Gabriel sitting alone in a Kentucky Fried Chicken, grumbling about the way things went down. The real shocker flips the story. Layla, the one who originally stole Yesid, is revealed to be Amelia's mom. Mao secretly admires Alas' pictures in the dark break room until Chi informs him of a meeting. There, Mayumi announces that MG Ronald's will be closed for renovations. Mao is shocked, but Mayumi clarifies that it's temporary. Mao had forgotten about this due to his depression over losing Alas. At home with Chi, Mao learns the landlady asked the residents to vacate until repairs are done. Upon entering his apartment, he finds Shiro and Hanzo on the floor, hearing the news. The landlady had sent a package with a VHS tape, and since no one there had a player, they headed to Chi's house. At Chi's, Riho greets them and they watch the videotape in Egypt. The landlady asks for their help with her niece in Chiba. Mao contacts her and they agree to work for the niece at her beach shack. Later, Mao and Emi inform the others about the plan, which frustrates Hanzo, but he's persuaded to help. At Chi's house, Riho gives Chi her blessing to have a crush on Mao and permission to join him on the work trip. Emi and Suzuno also plan to go. Mao tells Mayumi about his work trip the next day, sounding pleased. Outside, Saru confronts Mao and Chi about MG Ronald's closure despite turning down Gabriel's partnership offer. He then tries to court Chi, but she rejects him and asks about Gabriel's offer. Saru reveals Gabriel had asked him to help retrieve Alas and Emi's sword, but he declined and didn't know the details about the shards of Yesid. Mayumi approaches to assess the situation and bans Saru from the restaurant. As Mao and Chi walk together, they have a heart-to-heart about Chi feeling inadequate and waiting for Mao's response about their relationship. They run into Shiro, who's bought a suitcase and beach supplies. Chi calls her mother for permission to join Mao's group on the trip. On the day of the trip, Mao's group, along with Suzuno and Emi, takes the train. At the station, Mao contacts the landlady's niece. Chi buys rice crackers for everyone and expresses concern over Saru's comment about Gabriel still wanting Emi's sword. Emi hugs Chi, reassuring her that her mother trusts her. Outside the station, the landlady's niece, Ameno Aguro, greets the group and drives them to her beach shack. The shack is dirty, dusty, and full of cobwebs. Mao proposes a deal to Amane: if they can fill the house the next day, they'll get a bonus. Amane hesitantly agrees and Mao assigns Shiro and Hanzo to clean while Emi and Chi help. Meanwhile, Suzuno plays with Alas in the sand. Mao has Chi clean the rust off the soda fountain and Hanzo mends the chairs. As everyone works, Alas shows Mao a sand castle Suzuno built, inspiring him to have her make one beside the shack. By dusk, the shack looks much better. That night, the group celebrates and Alas notices fires in the sea. Amane explains it's part of a local legend, Murin Yasa. As she shares the story, a fog rolls in and foghorns sound from the lighthouse. As thick fog rolls in, Amane asks Mao to handle things while she takes the girls back to their inn. Alas, frightened by the fog, is comforted by Emi. Meanwhile, Shiro cleans up and spots a giant walking through the sea from the fog. Inside their room, Mao, Shiro and Hanzo discuss the situation. Mao gets a text from Chi saying the girls are safe, but Amane ventures into the fog alone. The lighthouse foghorn sounds again and Shiro points out a large figure emerging from the mist. It turns out to be a cyclops who curses the world's limited vision before fainting. The group is then approached by a centaur, who mistakes them for humans and asks if they are hostile. Shiro speaks Japanese, but Mao quickly corrects him, introducing himself in the centaur's language. A tornado sweeps it away before the centaur can react, followed by the cyclops. A large black bird falls from the sky and Mao recognizes Kamio. Another tornado forms but Hanzo uses his wings to clear the fog, leading them to shelter in the shack. Inside, the tornadoes can't reach the shack and the lighthouse horns sound as the fog clears. Mao's group reintroduces themselves to Kamio, who thanks them for being safe. He then warns that Aunt Isla is in chaos again, but before he can explain, a bright light engulfs him, transforming him into a small bird. Amain contacts the group the following day and encourages them to enjoy the beach. However, Mao is preoccupied, wondering why Kamio, injured and out of place, is there instead of guiding his forces in Aunt Isla. Later, Mao checks on Kamio, who's fine and claims he hasn't lost all his magical energy. Mao then helps at the beach shack where his group struggles to keep things running. Emi, Chi and Suzuno arrive to assist. Mao pulls Emi aside to ask about Alas and she explains that Alas got tired after swimming, leading Mao to believe she's in her sword form. While working outside with Shiro, Mao is asked if an angel caused yesterday's incident. Mao mentions that the Cyclops said a human did it and suspects Alba may be responsible. After a long day, Mao stretches at the table, thanking Chi for her help. Amain points out that Suzuno and Emi helped as well. Mao half-heartedly thanks them but Shiro insists on giving them proper compliments which ends with Shiro getting hurt. Hanzo then asks Emi about her thoughts on Alba. He explains that Alba betrayed him in the past and Hanzo reveals he initially accepted Alba's offer to spare his life and gain heaven's favor. Hanzo believes Alba wanted to use Emi to promote himself to angel status, suspecting he knew her sword and armor contained Yesid fragments. Hanzo ends by telling Emi about the events from the previous night. Inside the shack, Alas is summoned and Mao introduces Kamio to Chi, Emi and Alas, who quickly takes a liking to him. Mao then explains Kamio's confusion about his association with Emi and her sword, pointing out that Shiro was once their enemy. Kamio understands but remains wary, noting that logic doesn't always align with emotions. Mao then asks about the short sword Kamio brought from Aunt Isla but Amain knocks at the door before he can answer, saying it's time to clean up. Mao agrees to help but Kamio nervously reveals that Amain defeated him and the demons who invaded Aunt Isla before leaving. At the beach shack, Amain tallies the day's profits and because of the record-breaking total, she promises the group the bonus she had previously promised. That night, Mao, Shiro, Hanzo and Kamio wait by the local lighthouse for Emi and Suzuno to discuss the invaders. However, only Emi arrives with Alas. From Emi and Kamio, it's revealed that the demon army invaders were manipulated by Alba, who convinced them that retrieving Emi's holy sword would allow them to conquer all three realms in Mao's name. The hardliners, known as Barbaricia, believed Alba's message and now many are on their way to claim the sword. While Amain is capable, it's decided that she should be kept out of the confrontation. Before Kamio can reveal the name of the weapon he brought, a gate opens, releasing a thick mist. Hanzo uses his second eye to spot many invaders, though Barbaricia isn't among them. Emi drinks a holy vitamin beta and heads off to fight, while Mao sends Shiro to retrieve Kamio's sword. Amain arrives with the sword, insisting Mao take responsibility since he's a demon from another world. Meanwhile, Suzuno and Chi stand outside their inn, cautious of the fog. Amain approaches them, assures them no harm will come, reveals her power and disappears into the mist. Back on Emi's side, she continues fighting the invaders, with one named Siriato using a necklace containing a Yesid fragment to identify her sword. The two clashes until Mao, Shiro, Hanzo and Kamio arrive in their demon forms. Upon seeing Mao, Siriato and his men bow, explaining their actions were for the demon realm's benefit. Siriato reveals that Barbaricia feigned being deceived by Alba's claim and admits the necklace is a link crystal, which Emi confirms. Mao orders Siriato and his men to return through the gate, commanding them to obey Kamio and inform the demons that he's alive with the hero's sword. Mao also claims he's in another realm, trying to regain his power to unite the demon and human realms. After the demons pass through the gate, the group combines their powers to close it. Later, Suzuno and Chi find the group washed up on the shore. Amain then announced that their work was done and their apartment had been fixed. Chi notices shadowy figures in the seawater and Amain reveals that the Muranyasa story was a lie. She explains that the souls of the dead come to wash their souls in this place and she and her father are its guardians. The group's magic distorted the area and they risk losing their human forms. With a snap of her fingers, Amain and the shack disappear in a gust of wind, leaving a pamphlet for local attractions and 50,000 yen each for their troubles. Later, Mao and the group enjoy some sightseeing. During this time, Mao and Shiro have a heart-to-heart conversation about their current situation. Mao reveals to Emi that Kamio's sword was his horn which she had once broken off. Alba had brought it with him when attempting to negotiate with the demon army. Inside the sword's sheath was a fragment of Yesid which Mao gave to Emi. She accepts it but claims she could use the fragment to become more powerful and one day defeats him. However, Mao remains confident that he will eventually regain his power and conquer Earth and end Isla, much to the chagrin of Emi and Chi. Chi enjoys the soaked rice crackers she brought home from her trip with her father, Senichi. The household then receives a call from Senichi's brother, Manji, which shocks him. Everyone, including Emi and Alas, is present at Mao's apartment. Soon, Chi arrives and offers Mao a job in Nagano. Mao, Shiro, Akarsik Hanzo and Chi are driven by her mother, Riho, to their destination. During their conversation, Mao accidentally says Dark Lords, confusing Riho, who Mao quickly corrects to black bears. Shiro asks about the wild boars that attacked Chi's grandmother. Riho says she was only slightly injured but the part-timers quit, leaving the farm short-handed. They pass a building shaped like a kappa. Chi explains it's a yokai museum dedicated to kappa. Shiro shares its history, saying kappa steals the shirikodama from humans, making them gutless. Riho adds that aside from the streets, their family owns all the farmland, which shocks them. At their destination, Chi's aunt Yumiko greets them and Mao and his group are amazed by the house. They meet the rest of Chi's family, Manji, her uncle, his son Kazuma, his wife and child, Hinako and Hitoshi, and Chi's grandmother, Ei. After introductions, Hinako drives Mao, Shiro and Hanzo to their worksite. She explained the two types of vegetables grown and the group started weeding. By dusk, Mao's group is exhausted. Chi and Riho visit their room and inform them that Kazuma invited them to the local hot spring. They're surprised to see Alas, Emi and Suzuno in the hot spring. A fabricated story is made up for Alas and Emi asks to work there while Mao works, shocking the group. In their room, Emi apologizes to Suzuno for involving her in farm work but Suzuno understands, citing her distrust of the demons working there. Meanwhile, Mao has a heart-to-heart with Chi about her appearance. Then, they step outside to discuss why Emi wants to work with Mao's group. Mao learns that Emi has mixed feelings about him working in the fields due to her farming background. They talk a bit more before heading back, unaware that a black bear watches from the forest. The following day, Emi wakes the group. After breakfast, Kazuma assigns tasks. Mao and Emi harvest vegetables in one greenhouse, Hinako and Suzuno in another and Shiro and Manji in the last. Hanzo works with Kazuma. At the front of the house, Chi, holding her baby cousin Hitoshi with Alas, sees her mother Riho off back with Mao's group. Emi explains why vegetables are harvested early in the morning while they work on eggplants. Later, Mao's group rests, realizing their inexperience gave them a break. Mao suggests they ask Ei for more work and she asks them to take Hitoshi to his mother, as he misses her. Mao, Shiro, Chi and Alas take Hitoshi to Hinako in the fields. As they reunite her with Hitoshi, a black bear appears nearby. Despite their attempt to sneak away, Hitoshi's cries alert the bear to their presence. Hitoshi's cries alert the black bear in the field. Mao orders Shiro to take Chi, Hitoshi and Hinako to rendezvous with Kazuma while he and Emi deal with the bear. When a passing car honks, the bear charges at Emi, who incapacitates it with a shoulder throw. Back at the house, news of Emi's feat spreads online, attracting reporters eager to interview her. Emi is mortified. Kazuma, accompanied by Suzuno, thanks her for protecting his family. Afterward, Suzuno discusses with Emi how she considered erasing everyone's memories but decided against it, admiring how they handled the situation. However, Emi becomes furious when she learns that Mao and Shiro have given her the nickname Bear Slayer. In the fields, Mao and Shiro help Manji with the vegetables. Manji reveals that his son and daughter-in-law have expanded their farm business, including solar panels. Mao realizes that the demons in his realm fought because magic in the air removed the need for food, leading him to believe societies can't exist without food production. At the house, they meet Anda, the president of the neighborhood society, who informs them about produce thieves. Shiro later briefs the group and Mao suspects the thieves use a rented car to sell stolen produce and may strike again that night. With the recent attention on the farm, it could be a prime target. Mao wanted to keep Chi's family out of the situation but Chi's grandmother, Ei, overheard and decided to help. Using Hanzo's laptop, she drew a rough map showing the area's crops and the best roads for a truck. Hanzo concluded that the thieves were after the solar panels, not the farm's vegetables. Later, Mao and Suzuno watched the watermelon field, spotting a truck with 4 people nearby. They saw one of them steal a watermelon which Mao called a bonus. They contacted Emi's group and caught the thieves stealing a solar panel. Though Shiro stopped one, the others escaped, prompting Emi to chase them. Suzuno caught up to the truck and stopped it with brute force. Emi then used her sword to tear open the truck's roof, threatening the passengers inside. One tried to escape but Mao confronted him in his demon form. Kazuma and Chi arrived as the police gathered information from Mao's group. A few days later, Mao's household receives a package from Chi's farm containing watermelons and vegetables. Emirata asks Emi if she's met her mother, Layla. Emi claims she doesn't know her mother or if she's alive. Emirata is surprised by this response, mentioning that an impertinent woman had said otherwise. Emi, with a lass on her lap, contemplates this at Suzuno's apartment. Suzuno, noticing her deep thought, asks what's on her mind. Before Emi can respond, they're interrupted by Mao and Shiro arguing. Meanwhile, Gabriel, living in a new place, befriends Sato, who knows him as Grease. They briefly chat and Gabriel receives a call from someone he agrees to meet soon. Back with Mao, he insists on buying a TV but Shiro argues it's unnecessary since they have the internet. Mao points out they have extra money and Emi has a TV in her apartment, wanting to watch with a lass. Shiro suggests talking to their realtor about subscription fees. When Mao asked about their budget, Shiro estimated 20k yen. Mao reveals his point card which has accumulated over 6k yen, much to Shiro's dismay. That night, Suzuno, Chi, and Emi walk together. Suzuno wanted to watch TV in Emi's apartment. On the train, Suzuno tells Emi they may have to break their vow to protect Mao, as the demon army knows their leader is alive. She reflects on their comfortable lifestyle, unsure how long it will last. At her apartment, Emi talks to Rika on the phone, who asks about the type of clothes Shiro likes. Emi is taken aback, eventually responding that Shiro prefers cheap clothes. Rika clarifies, asking what clothes Shiro would like on a woman. Emi, confused, questions Rika's intentions, to which Rika flusteredly admits that Shiro invited her on a shopping trip. On the day of the trip, Mao asks Shiro why he invited Rika. Shiro explained that he wanted someone to help him understand modern Japan. As Mao, Shiro and Suzuno leave their apartment, Gabriel arrives. Meanwhile, Emi struggles with her job and her frustration mounts. Her co-worker Maki notices how flustered Emi has been and asks if she fought with Rika. Emi reacts with outbursts, causing her superior to send her home early. Back at Mao's apartment, Gabriel visits Hanzo to ask about his fall from heaven and defection to the demon realm. Hanzo casually states it was due to boredom, which leads him to team up with Mao. Gabriel is intrigued and wants to know Mao's plans but Hanzo stays tight-lipped. Gabriel then asks about the old legendary Satan but Hanzo dismisses it, leading to a playful debate about Gabriel's NEET level. Hanzo also inquires if Gabriel is still after the Yesid fragments but Gabriel reveals he's been taken off that case. Emi buys a vial for her Yesid fragment and recalls a conversation with Emirata about the Efsahan Empire's movements and demons within their army. Emirata also shares that Layla once stayed with her, leaving a thank you note for being her daughter's friend. Gabriel receives a list of Satan's treasures from Hanzo and mentions a watchard in Japan, giving Hanzo his phone number. At a cafe, Emi enchants the Yesid fragment to track nearby fragments. Chi, walking home with Kao, mentions Mao, Shiro and Suzuno are out shopping. Kao jokingly assumes Mao and Shiro are in a BL relationship. When Chi uses the TV at home, it emits a bright light, causing her to pass out. Rika applies lipstick in the train station bathroom and meets Shiro, unexpectedly, with Suzuno and Mao. Shiro gives Rika a gift from his Choshi trip and the group discusses their reasons for the shopping trip. Rika is confident she can help Shiro buy a phone but isn't sure about helping Mao and Suzuno with a TV. When she learns Shiro doesn't know what 4K means, she suggests they eat at a restaurant first. Mamoru, Mao, Suzuno and Shiro are impressed by the food and prices at the udon restaurant. They share their budgets with Rika but their conversation is interrupted by a man speaking English. Mao translates for him and the man later complains about his mission while on the phone, revealing he's starting his second job. Meanwhile, Emi tracks the Yesid fragment to what she thinks is the Meiji shrine but ends up at a hospital where Riho informs her that Chi is hospitalized. Back with Mao's group, they visit an electronics store. Rika suggests that Shiro pair up with Suzuno to buy a TV and get a discount, which excites Shiro. He thanks Rika, causing her to fluster when he holds her hands. Mao teasingly asks if Rika has fallen for Shiro, making her panic. Later, Mao and Suzuno talk while Shiro and Rika shop for a phone. Mao explains his conversation with Rika and Suzuno punches him for his lack of tact, warning him that Shiro should be careful around Rika due to their backgrounds. Mao argues they should be honest with Rika about their backgrounds but Suzuno disagrees. While discussing this, Shiro and Rika discuss his relationship with Suzuno. Rika suggests they return to buy Shiro's phone and Shiro agrees. Out of nowhere, all the TV screens shatter, like someone threw a tantrum. Mao quickly sends Shiro to escort Rika home, while Suzuno's phone rings. It's Emi, freaking out because Chi's got magical poisoning. At the hospital, Riho's giving the lowdown on Chi's condition, and things aren't looking too hot. Later, Shiro finds out how deep Emi's been going, hunting for Yesid fragments. Suzuno, tapping into her celestial magic, diagnoses Chi's condition and starts working on a fix. But as she works, Mao and Shiro's hair stands straight up like they've been hit with a shockwave. Suzuno shrugs it off, saying their bodies are rejecting the celestial power. Then Hanzo walks in, dropping some heavy news. Gabriel's onto them and has figured out that new water uses LCD TVs to track celestial force sonar. He also mentions Gabriel's looking for Satan's treasures. Emi, getting that eerie feeling, connects the dots. She believes their real goal is Layla. In Chi's room, Riho checks on her daughter while the crew steps outside to talk. Hanzo spills the beans on the Watcher's role and throws in some history about Ragel and Saru. Emi's all in, pressing for more details. After Hanzo wraps up his tale, Mao asks Emi and Suzuno to team up and fight Ragel. They agree, and Alas joins the squad. Meanwhile, Layla's making her move on Chi, placing her ring on Chi's finger, saying that one day, Chi's gonna be the mother of a new Daph.